Chapter 4 Season 4 has just dropped. The season is looking amazing. I'm having so much fun playing it, but what is going on with competitive? We now know there is going to be no FNCS in Chapter 4 Season 4. You're probably thinking, why is that? It's because we have the $4 million LAN event this season. And while I was hoping and talking about in my videos, I'd love to see like a solo FNCS just for one season or something fun like a Winter Royale, it looks like we are getting regular cash cups with the addition of the new Mix-Up Mondays, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but we are getting no FNCS. This is similar to what they did last year during the Invitational. It looks like while the LAN event is on, they don't want to run any major tournaments because Fortnite's new competitive ecosystem is having FNCSs be a way for you to qualify to the LAN event. Because this LAN event is already running, there is no way they can make the FNCS qualify to it. Obviously, I would absolutely love to see an FNCS just for the rest of the community because, again, really only 75 teams are going to Copenhagen. The rest of the community would love something to play in. I understand it. And ultimately, the competitive schedule still looks pretty good. We're going to have duo cash cups every single week, solo victory cash cups for builds, duo victory no build cash cups, and then we have these new Mix-Up Mondays, as well as the FNCS Community Cup, the Champions Console Cup, and a lot of PlayStation Cups. So even though there's no FNCS, which I would have loved, I do still think competitive this season is going to be really fun, and there's still a lot to do. As for when all these tournaments are on, the first in-game tournament we have is the Evaluation Cup. It is playing out on EU. It's 2 rounds long like it normally is. You can play that cross-region because there's only one of them. So if you're from NA and you want to play the EU Evaluation Cup, be my guest. It's going to be really exciting to see how the new meta plays out in this. I'll talk in a little bit about what I think competitive is going to be like this season because it is looking crazy. But if you're looking forward to Cash Cups, that's our first prize money tournament in-game. Then we have the PlayStation Cup, which is kicking off in about a week. Then we have the Mix-Up Mondays, the Solo Victory Cash Cup, Duo Cash Cups, all the other tournaments starting the week after. So it looks like competitive is kicking off really in about 10 days from now, which is awesome. We don't have a preseason. Ranked has completely reset, so they didn't have to have that really long buffer time before tournaments come back, which I'm a huge fan of. I hate waiting 3 weeks into a new season for the tournaments to kick off. Obviously, people always say you got to figure out the meta, like a delay in tournament lets people practice, but it's only a Cash Cup. Honestly, I'm more than happy to run it earlier in the season with a bit of fun. It's a little bit goofy. Everyone's still figuring out the meta, and that's what makes it, for me, super entertaining. Speaking of ranked, if you guys want to play in those cash cups, it looks like you're going to need bronze 1 for the FNCS Community Cup and the Mix-Up Mondays. You're going to need gold 1 for the solo and duos victory cups. You're going to need gold 1 for duo cash cups, and you're going to need platinum 1 for the console champions cup. So with no FNCS this season, it looks like unless you want to play in the console champions cup, the highest rank you need to play all the tournaments is only gold. And they haven't really changed the rank season too much. They said they made some tweaks to queue times and how you get points, but I've been playing ranked a lot the first day of the season. I'm already in diamond, and honestly, I haven't really seen too much difference. The games are looking reasonably stacked as far as how good the players are, but I think that's just because it's a new season and the player base is booming. At one point, we were checking in at over 1.3 million players in pubs alone. This new season is incredibly popular. It's bringing a lot of players back to the game, but it is definitely bringing the sweat out in ranked from what I can see. All the tournaments are pretty standard like you're used to. Duo cash cups are going to be multiple rounds. It's going to be anyone in gold like I talked about, and then it's going to go down to top 50 to play in the finals. The prize pool hasn't changed. I think a lot of people were expecting the prize pool to get beefed up a little bit if there was no FNCS, but you have to remember Epic have already assigned their $10 million prize pool to competitive for the entire season, and that includes this current season as well, having no FNCS. The solo victory cups and the duo no build cups are the same. If you win a game in the finals in solos, you get $100. If you win a game in duos, you get $200 as a duo, so $100 each. The only change is the Mix-Up Mondays. Now, I'm not really sure what this is. It looks like it's their kind of rendition of the Lightning Cups. If you guys remember these, it's just a tournament every single Monday, and it's going to have different wacky and crazy rule sets. It looks like the first one is a rule set they've done a lot in the past. A win is 25 points, each elim is 1, and you get no points for second. So I don't know if it's bugged in the compete tab right now. I don't know if they're going to change it, but I was kind of hoping these Mix-Up Mondays would be really wacky tournaments, like a Floor is Lava LTM, or like the Fresh and Laser Beam tournament. Like when I think of fun, crazy tournaments, that's what I think of, not just a kind of different scoring format that honestly most people don't seem to enjoy. Now, I don't know if these are going to have a prize pool. At this point in the compete tab, they don't. If they give them a prize pool and actually put really fun fun, cool formats into it, they could be so incredibly popular. They could be really awesome for bridging that gap between casual and competitive, and you could get people into playing it. I really think it's an awesome idea. I just think the execution at the moment is just a little bit off, sadly. If you guys are competitive console players and you're still on Xbox, you are down horrendous, because the PlayStation Cup is kicking off early on September 1st. We're kicking off the zero build PlayStation Cup for September, and on the September 2nd, we're kicking off the Battle Royale regular build PlayStation Cup. So there are 2 PlayStation Cups in the month of September already. So if you guys are competing on console at this point, it really might be worth considering getting a PlayStation, because they are going to keep running these 2 tournaments every month, seemingly for the rest of the season. And again, the only tournament you're going to get on Xbox at this point for console is the Champions Console Cup, which has been announced to be right at the very end of the season. Now, let's talk about what my thoughts on competitive are this season. It is going to be insane. I really didn't want a boring season, and we are not getting a boring season. If you've played the game at all right now, you know the rocket rams flying through the sky, breaking through builds, just exploding. You've got shockwaves, you've got sniper one-shots. It is all looking a bit crazy, but I do need to clarify, a lot of these things aren't in competitive. So we have no sniper rifles in competitive, no shockwaves in competitive, and we have no kit shockwave launcher. But that means the rocket ram is still in competitive. And when I first saw this, I was really worried. It looked incredibly OP. And while it is quite annoying in certain situations, in a lobby full of good players with the new twin mag AR, which is just absurd. This is one of the strongest assault rifles I've ever seen. You get absolutely lasered when you try to rocket ram. So while I'm sure there's going to be some strategies pros will come up with to use it out of their base safely and rotate, if you're trying to use this in a really good lobby, you are just going to get beamed. However, in endgame, I can very much see pros just using that straight down a top, blowing through people, one pumping them. It is going to be insane. But I don't even think that is the most insane part of the new competitive meta. A lot of people aren't talking about the scout tower. This is a new thing they've added to the game. Capturing this will now reveal every single zone. You now know the next zone for the entire rest of the game. You also gain slurps. You get 2 slurps for every single player in your party. So if it's solos, you get 2. If it's duos, you get 4. And you also gain points for this, just like capturing the Rift Island. These things are going to be absurdly broken in competitive, and it's still kind of following this story or this idea that Epic has of creating more mid-game engagements. They want teams to actually fight for things in the mid-game, like the caches that are still in the game, like the loot island that is still in the game, and now like these scout towers. So we're going to see some crazy engagements over these different areas around the map, because people are really going to want to claim these for the advantage. And honestly, I'm okay with that. It might be honestly a little bit too strong. You didn't need to give it slurps, zone reveal, and points. People were going to fight over it regardless, but I mean, if it creates more mid-game engagements, I'm totally down for it. One of the biggest changes with the new season that almost no one's talking about, because we haven't really got to see it yet, is the changes to Storm. Fortnite has completely changed how the Storm works now. We have different zone timings that are now going to make the early game a little bit longer. First zone, instead of taking 120 seconds, now takes 180. But after that, the zones are either the same or quite a lot faster, until you get to the last zone that now, instead of being 25 seconds, is now 0. So basically what that means is Fortnite has made the early game a little bit longer to let teams get built up, get ready, get their loot, get out there, but then it's going to go faster from that point on. Mid game is now going to be quicker, and especially end game is now going to be quicker. Now, I love end game in Fortnite. It's my favorite part of the game. It's pretty much everyone's favorite part of competitive Fortnite. The mid part just kind of feels like what you have to get through to get there, so I don't know how I feel about them speeding this up. If it makes it more exciting, it makes it more competitive, it makes it more fun, I'm totally there for it. But it's one of those things we're gonna have to see how it affects competitive. We have had more changes to Storm in the last few seasons than we did in the like 3 or 4 years of Fortnite before that. So far, everything to me has led to a positive change. I absolutely loved competitive last season, so I have faith that Epic will hopefully deliver good change with this, but I can't really give my full opinion until I see how it plays out in a tournament. But I want to make sure you guys knew, because I haven't seen almost anyone talking about it. I already talked about how the twin mag AR is, but it is going to be insanely strong. I've always talked about how I want to see how a meta would now go without having a red eye AR again, because I really feel like just the basing up surge strategy of just building a giant tower on a huge mountain and just tagging people for 1,000 damage across the map is a little bit boring, but at the same time, it does really help controller players get their surge who otherwise probably couldn't with regular ARs because of how weak long range aim assist is. So as much as I didn't want to see a red dot weapon in the game, I'm not super upset to see it, but it is one of the strongest weapons ever. It is full auto. You can use it to hip fire if you're box fighting. It basically has no kick, no bloom, and always first shot accuracy. Like, this thing is insane. Now, the next question you're probably gonna have is, what are my thoughts on the shotguns? Now, the new shotgun is a little bit weak. It's replaced the Havoc shotgun, one of the strongest shotguns we've ever had, and I am feeling it's way too weak right now. I am actually running the Sharp Tooth shotgun over it, but I'm missing having that big, hard-hitting, slow fire rate shotgun, because this one actually is a very fast fire rate shotgun. The new shotgun shoots as fast as the Maven. So I don't really understand what its purpose is in the meta when we already have the Maven. I want a slow, hard-hitting pump shotgun. It's called the pump shotgun, but it doesn't really act like a pump. So I don't really know if Epic's gonna balance it, if they're gonna buff it. A lot of frustration from a lot of players seems to be coming on the back of the new shotguns being so weak. Even at Mythic Rarity, it only does 170 to the head, which a lot of people are upset about. You can pick up the new first shot shotgun augment, but again, that doesn't actually increase the max headshot damage. It makes it easier to hit max headshot damage, and it does a lot more body damage, but you still can't hit a player for more than 170, even if you hit the perfect shot with that augment. So currently, the only way to 200 pump are the new mythics. You have the Mythic Kits charged shotgun that will 200 pump, and it's crazy seeing it back in the game. It's not even the most broken mythic though. I already said the shockwave launcher isn't in the game, but if you've picked up the MK7 mythic, you are absolutely frying. Whoever gets that in the lobby, if they have the aim of any tier 1 pro, they are obliterating everyone. It honestly feels like I'm cheating when I use this gun. But unlike previous seasons, you can't guarantee any of the mythics. The way the drops work now is one of the drops, the one that's where Citadel was, has 3 different mythic spawns. The other 2 only has 2, but it's completely randomized. No team is going to be able to guarantee that weapon, so it's going to come down to a lot of RNG and a lot of luck. But if you get good luck in the finals and you get that MK a few times, you are going to obliterate people. It will be very interesting to see which teams claim these new POIs coming into Copenhagen, because obviously the mythic POIs are so incredibly strong, but they're also very, very frustrating to fight against. They are going to be contested. There's a bunch of NPCs. There is a lot of noise, a lot of volume, and it's going to be hard to win them consistently. I genuinely think Copenhagen at this point will most likely be won by a split drop utilizing some of the crazy new augments like the new fishing augment. If you've picked it up, all you have to do is swim through a fishing hole and you gain the fish as if you fished it, and you can do this 3 times. Teams like Kami and Seti, I can see, are going to abuse this and find some crazy new split drops where they're going to have absurd meds and pull off some ridiculous strategy. I just have a feeling it might be a team that can just alpha up one of the mythic POIs and they're just so dominant they beat everyone, but I'm really keeping my eyes on some of those more low-key drops from some of those really smart teams who will invent a new strategy coming into Copenhagen. Overall, I am very excited for the new season of competitive. We just had one of the craziest seasons out of nowhere. FNCS was super enjoyable. Last chance major. We now have Copenhagen, a $4 million land, the biggest land since World Cup in a couple months, and I'm really excited for it. I know there's no FNCS and a lot of people are going to be upset by that, but I think the cash cubs in this meta that is going to be crazy will still be very fun. And if you keep your mind focused on Copenhagen, I'll be doing my best to keep you guys up to date with all the storylines heading into it. This is going to be a very, very big season for competitive.